Sorry, we're live. I'm just going to clear this spam on the chat here. Some filthiness coming out on the chat. Anyway, we are live. We are doing a podcast. It is, of course, episode number 7 of our Rovers Return podcast. And we are, of course, joined by Rovers fans from around the world. We're going to introduce them one by one. Who wants to go first? I'm going to go down to South Africa first. We're going to pin you on the spot, put you in the middle there. And, of course, let's get rid of that. So we can see you. I can see you in all your glory. We've got Holmesy in the house. Holmesy, how are you doing?
Good day, Dick. Good day, gents.
Respect where respect is due.
All good?
Yes. So.
Yeah, all good this side?
I'm glad to hear it. Let me just sort this out here so we can see you. So, of course, Rovers coming into the back of today on the back of that result against Birmingham City. You know, decent result. Not the best performance, but it seems to be the way with Rovers these days. What is your take on it from South Africa? What's your point of view of the result and things at the moment?
You know, we're grinding out those results, Dirk. I think a year ago, those are the games that we would have drawn, we would have lost. On the back foot, getting those 2 early goals, I think there's been a mentality shift slightly within the boys, you know, that hunger, that drive, that togetherness, and also a bit of luck going our way. Maybe 1 or 2 decisions going our way, but that didn't last year. But, you know, I definitely think in the last 3-4 years, maybe the Mowbray era, those are the games, those last 2 games are the games that we would have drawn and we would have lost, and we've got 9 points from them, so I'm over the moon.
You're over the moon. Fantastic stuff there. Of course, let's bring in, who else is with us? We've got Denver in the house. Just give me a minute while I cue him up. Put you on the spot there, Denver. What is your take on things right now? It's interesting. Top 2. We'll elaborate on the top 2 a little bit. But it's got a weird vibe about it, especially in the fan base. Dem?
I think personally, for me, I'm enjoying the three wins in the 1 week. New style of play, new way. I feel like JDT is adopting more of a very very much strategic method in the way that we'll score a goal and then we sit defensively, which I guess we're not used to. I guess looking at the Sunderland game, funnily enough, seeing how they capitulated, it just reminded me of just how we were for the past 4 years. Moby was there, and we'd just not be consistent enough. But it's interesting to see how well we're defending now and sitting back. But at the same time, if our clinicalness does dry out, I could see a lot of draws creeping into our game and maybe a few losses. So yeah, but an interesting one. But we've won 3 on the bounce, so can't complain.
Definitely, nothing like. And of course, 5 wins on the spin at Ewood Park, and I think he's probably caught all of them, haven't you, Jacob? Saw every single one of those wins, I believe. So, what is your take? Of course, a guy going down to the grounds every week or week in, week out. What's your take on the JDT era and some of them results?
Yeah, I think, like Denver's just said, obviously we're putting in some good defensive performances at the minute. You know, we got 2-0 up at Middlesbrough, managed to kind of sit back in the second half. Obviously, when we got that goal, we conceded just before the stroke of half time, which is obviously the worst time to concede. But, as mentioned, how many times last year were we 2-0 up and absolutely capitulated after the opposition got a goal back? I think back to Coventry at home, Luton at home, 2-0 leads at home at half-time, I believe, even. And then the second half, we just completely chuck it away. But we've managed to, see out a really good away win at Middlesbrough, despite their position. It's never an easy away day, that. And then Sunderland at home and Birmingham at home, we've managed to see out on two more wins, rather, if I can get my words out, when we've been 2-0 up, and we're putting good defensive performances. And I do question how long we can keep doing that. Obviously, it is a case of at the minute where we are literally defending for our lives for a good 40 minutes or so, which isn't too easy on the eye. And we did struggle yesterday, really, getting out on the counter, whereas against Sunderland, we had more than a few chances on the transition. But I think with the team we have, we're never going to be really dominating that many games. You know, you look at the noisy neighbours down the road. Obviously, they've got 70% possession every game or whatnot. You know, we can't really be doing that. So once we get our chances, we have to take them, and then we've just got to try and hold out these leads because we aren't the best team on paper. So grinding out results for right now, and let's pick a bit of momentum up before Burnley and West Ham.
Yeah, big games are upon us. Very, very much so. Luna's getting a bit excited about the prospect of that Burnley game. Of course, that's when we'll close out the mini season. Of course, with the World Cup upon us, and of course, yeah, a bit of an extra bonus for Rovers, the Cup day against West Ham down London way. So yeah, let me just get things prepped up here. We're gonna, of course, elaborate a little bit more on yesterday's performance. How do I do this then? I'm going to go right here. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to get this party started. So, yeah, Jacob, back keeping it on you. Of course, you were there yesterday. Birmingham City. Good result too. Well, I'd say a good first half, weak second half. Gallagher scoring strikers' goals, goal punchers, a goal, whatever they call it, goal hangers goals. You know, right spot, right time, and again a couple of games back with a zinger as well. I think that was Middlesbrough. I think so. He's starting to get a bit more confidence in his boots. Maybe at the right time as well, with a lot of people talking about Diaz potentially moving again in January. That talk is starting to bubble up a little bit more. So how's he been, or what's your verdict on him recently, and maybe in particular a bit about the game yesterday?
It's probably the best I've seen Sam Gallagher play for us since we had him on loan. To be honest, at the minute he just seems full of confidence. The fans were well behind him yesterday. Probably the most I've heard the fans chanting his song. But I mean, what a difference does it make going to the 5-3-2 and actually playing him down the middle rather than having him out on the right wing? You know, I spoke to one of my mates and he said he's not even a striker at this point. If two managers have come in and had a look at him and thought he needs to be out on the right hand side, you can't say he's a striker, but he's proven he is right now. You know, whether you count that other goal at Middlesbrough, if you do, it's 3-3 for him. If not, it's 2-3. I mean, those numbers are kind of unheard of for Sam Gallagher, let's be honest. Like, you know, I think the way he started this season, I think we were thinking he'll be on for another 8-9 goal season like usual. But if he carries on playing like this, he could definitely push up to 15. Just a breath of fresh air, and just the work rate's always been there, to be fair to him. And, you know, that is the least you can ask from your players, just to leave everything on the pitch, which, to be fair to him, he does every single game. But obviously the frustrating bit has been, you know, him not getting the goals or whatnot. But when he's being asked to play on the wing, which he's just like a fish out of water there, it is hard to blame him. So I think he's taking his opportunity at the moment. I much prefer the 5-3-2. I think we're so much better in the midfield. We can control the game better, not get bypassed so easily. I think Travis needs that extra body in there because he can be exposed at times because he's not the best passer. He's not best under pressure, so he does just need that easy ball to lay it off sometimes. But brilliant ball in from Morton. Obviously Gallagher tucks it home, and then through that formation, the 5-3-2, Adam Wharton's in the team and he gets the goal and it's 2-0. And then at that point you are fully expecting us to win the game because, you know, we do have that stat at the minute. We've won every game where we've took the lead, so long may that continue, hopefully. But yeah, brilliant result and a resolute performance to see the win out in the end after they chucked on. You know, they basically chucked everything at the wall, didn't they, at the end? And yeah, it was a bit squeaky bum time at the end, but we got there.
Yes, we did, and it was. You know, it is a different vibe when we think about, and yeah, I think Denver elaborated on it a little bit. The Mowbray-ness going on at Sunderland right now when they were 2-0 up against Burnley side, threw it all away. And of course, we had 5 years of that. Again, yeah, I'm not saying they were all 5 years of it, but there was a lot of it. So, Denver, what is your take on maybe some of the young guns? The young guns that are getting in onto this team. Garrett, of course, midweek, I think he was involved. He came on again, substitute. Wharton now looks, I don't know, I'll tell you what, he looks a player, especially at 18 years old. I can't get my head around it, to be honest with you, how young he is. Especially when we think about Scotty Wharton being 24. I think there's a 6-year gap between the two. What's your take on the young guns coming through?
Well, it's making me and Jacob look old now, isn't it, really? That's saying something. So, no, but I think, it's just a credit to the academy. And look, I've briefly one day been around the academy, of course, with my group. And it is a great setup. The pictures are fantastic when I've been on it and stuff like that. So it's a credit to it, seeing how many, isn't it like 600 something odd games where we've had a consistent academy graduate in the side, just says it all. When we've released players, especially during the summer, when we released past 2 seasons, we've had a lot of players go, and we've not really replaced them with signings, but the academy have replenished the squad that way, and it's just great to see. Yesterday, being at the ground though, when we did have all our young guns on, like Garrett and Ashville, I did feel a bit vulnerable, thinking these guys are really inexperienced against a very experienced Birmingham side. But to be fair to them, they held on, and honestly, it's great to see. It's just great seeing how good the youth is, and they come straight in, and they've cemented some of their positions in the squad. Maybe they're rotating with the rest of them like they all are, but it's good to see the likes of Garrett. Watching him yesterday live, I was a bit just they're very eager to get on the ball and do stuff, and the young players, what do you expect? But but they look good. They held their own yesterday, and I'm sure there'll be a credit to the squad coming the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, it is definitely it is nice to see, and JDT has elaborated on it in the post-match thoughts about the fans getting behind the young guns when they come on. But I'm with you on that one. When it doesn't give me that much. It's nice and exciting and all that, but and again, we'll talk about him in a little bit. But I'd like to see some experienced members on there to have another option, because we can't always. I think there are scenarios where we're going to need experienced heads and somebody to kind of pick the team up a little bit if the desperation needs. Because if the roles were reversed and we were chasing that game and we look to the bench and there's some young guns, yes, they're gonna take their opportunity when presented, but it's I know, and again, Mowbray had some good bits and bad bits about him, and he did bring in some experienced players, the Lewis Holtbys, the Stuart Downings, and things like that. I think we're just missing some of those. I think we'd like to have them on deck, but right now it feels very hard. Even I know we talk about Dack and we're going to talk about that, but Makande, I was so excited about him this season to break through into the team, and we can it's easily to forget that we got him. What do you think about his hope, Jacob? I'm going to bring you on that one. Makande's future, as a Rover. What's going on over there?
Yeah, that is a weird one, to be fair. Now that you mention it, obviously he's played in the League Cup. He's done really well. He got himself I'm not sure if any of you've seen, but the goal against Wolfsburg, absolutely brilliant volley. He seems a talent, and like you say, obviously we bought him for the first team. He obviously broke in Hull away and got injured straight away, unfortunately. But to be fair, at the minute I don't see where he really fits in this team if we are going to be playing this 5-3-2, because obviously I don't see him as a striker. I don't think he could fit up there personally. He's, to me, a winger, and we're not currently playing any wingers, and I wouldn't trust him at wing back. So, but in fairness, even when we were playing the 5-2-3 and we were playing wingers, he weren't getting a look in, despite some good performances in the League Cup and whatnot. So I don't know, maybe there's just something there that JDT sees and doesn't like. Maybe he doesn't work enough off the ball, something like that. But then I look at someone like Jack Vale, who to me is a bit lazy off the ball. Like, he come on against Sunderland, I think it was, and yeah, he doesn't have the kind of work rate that a Tyrese Dolan does. So obviously these aren't JDT signings at the end of the day. There will be players that he just looks at and just doesn't fancy. But it would be a real shame if Marconde is one of them, because he is one who could easily be worth 10, 15 million in a couple of years if we grow him to his potential.
Indeed, and of course, the likes of Jack Vale and Mackenday. Young, still got a lot of football ahead of them, and interesting, and as well the formation change, or are we settled on this back five now? Does that seem to be the way we're going to adapt? I like the two up top. I think that's what we've been screaming out for years. Diaz and Gallagher up top. I think two big ass 6 foot something strikers up there. Both got a rocket on their foot. Of course, consistency is the major factor. Is making sure that they hit the back of the net regular, but. Definitely the two up top for me makes me a little bit excited, and I think with a bit of luck, with a bit of momentum, they could have a cracking season and maybe even get 40 between them. What do you think about that, Holmesy? The top two of Gallagher and Diaz up top. So far, so good this season.
Well, it's exciting, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's exciting. As you said, we've been screaming out for two focal points for ages, not playing Gallagher down the wing. And, in fairness to Gallagher, he's been he got a lot of slack for the last three years, playing out of position. He always works hard, even when he's getting slagged off. He's working, he's running for the team. So now giving him a chance down the middle there, I think is fantastic for him. And you know what? 3 games in a row, finding the back of the net, fair play to him. My worry is, of course, that the partnership starts to flourish. January comes and Diaz goes off to pastures new. Then do we have a ready-made replacement? We're probably going to have to dig into the transfer market. Slightly breaks up that partnership a bit. But, if you've got Gallagher, you've got Diaz. If they stay through to the end of the season, I don't see any reason why they're not going to be a great partnership. Easy 40-plus goals. Not sure what they're at already. I mean, they must be over the 10-15 mark between them.
It's close.
Or certainly over the 10 mark between them.
Yeah. Well, I've got the stats on that later. We'll bring that up shortly. But let's talk a little bit about that a bit more then, shall we? Of course, the potential of a Diaz departure. Denver, I'm going to bring you in on this one, of course. Without him, I think our chances of maintaining our great start to the season go out the window a little bit. But let's create a scenario, and he does leave. We get some money for him. Everton look like they're interested. Sevilla, somebody said in the chat on the watch along yesterday that Sampaoli, of course, former Chilean manager. Sevilla have always had an interest with Diaz. Now they have a new Chilean manager at their helm. That could get restarted. Let's just say we do lose Diaz. Gallagher will then be the man. He'll be the main man, and then we have got Jack Vale on the next best thing. And again, as Holmesy said, we'll have to dip into the market. But then more reliance will come on maybe another man. Of course, a man that's getting a lot of spotlight. Right, Bradley Dack, of course. Would his chances improve with Diaz out of the picture?
I think. Look, it's a tough one to say, right? We don't know if he is going to go or not. But if you look at the likes when in a similar position when we let Armstrong go, and look how Diaz has flourished without him in the side, it's hard to say that can happen again. It might be hard to say who, but for me, I think someone who we haven't mentioned who's been really, really good this season is Ryan Hedges, also a local lad to from where I am at the minute. Used to play for clubs around here, but anyway, Ryan Hedges has really impressed me. I think I see him very much of the Diaz mould. I think he could become that player. I know he's been playing right wing back just to supplement when Britain was injured, and of course Britain went to the left, so he's been playing that position. But when he was higher up, he's been good in that position as well. But I reckon he'll be very good higher up, and I think he could be that player. On the likes of Dack, it's hard to say what position he is in now with JDT's plans and stuff like that. And Mackenday, I remember a few podcasts ago saying I think he could be a really good stand-up player this season if he's fit. But I don't know what's going on there, of course. But for me, if Diaz goes, I mean, like I said, when Armstrong went and Diaz flourished, I could see Ryan Hedges or even Sam Gallagher maybe taking that mantle and pushing on. But if not, of course, we might fall away. But it's hard to say now, isn't it, really, before that happens. But while Diaz is at the club, hopefully he stays or signs a new contract. But yeah, at the minute, it's all looking good, isn't it?
It is looking good. Yeah, we gotta praise the JDT and the way things are, and you know, a lot of third parties are saying that it's an unfair representation of the league or unfair representation of Rovers, and that the reality will soon come to light. And they might be right, they might be wrong, but other names, there are other names that are like McIndale and Dack, and we'll talk more about Dack in a minute. But you know, like John Buckley. What on earth's gone wrong there? Why can't he get a sniff, Jacob?
I think just because of one man, Tyler Morton, to be honest. I think he's come in. You know, Buckley had the first couple games, to be fair. He got given the nod. And to be fair, after the Swansea game, his performance has just deteriorated. And he looks half the player now he did the end of last season. He looked brilliant at the end of last season, John Buckley. And it's kind of a curse, isn't it? Sometimes when players sign a new contract, they either really kick on like Adam Wharton has, or it can just be a curse, it seems, doesn't it? Once they get that big contract, maybe they lose that hunger, maybe something like that. But Tyler Morton's come in and has been better than Buckley, quite simply, and they are quite like for like. They're both players who take the ball under pressure, you know, can see a pass quite easily, play a pass quite easily. The vision is there, and to be honest, I don't think you can fit them both into the same team unless you're in a certain scenario where you're either trying to control the game with a lead, or you're chasing a game and you need two players on the pitch who are going to find that pass. But I don't think you can start both of them, quite simply. And to be honest, Buckley's performances don't warrant it right now. You know, I was saying once we signed Tyler Morton, I hope Buckley is the one who gets given the chance, and Tyler Morton isn't just a shoe-in because Klopp said, oh, he has to get so many minutes, whatnot. I don't think that is the case at all. Tyler Morton has been much better, and his performances warrant him having the nod over Buckley right now. So fair play to him. Fair
play indeed. It is difficult to get. And I think that's what we need. We need competition. Competition's gonna hopefully should be the motivation for those players, the Buckleys, the McIndays and co, to show JDT that they have a chance. And I was just saying, you know, on the watch along last night or yesterday, that Ryan Hedges picked up an injury. Don't know the situation with that. With Britain already out, you know, the one guy who would be licking his lips here, and I know he's been given a shit ride, and fair play to him, he has deserved it. JRC's licking his lips. He goes, maybe, just maybe, that's his his chance. He's got to take a chance. He's got to, and again, no chance, but. Well, I'm just saying, you know, there's no, you know, and it is bizarre that that Britain been used as a left back, and then it just shows that there is favourites. There is favourites within the JDT camp. Do you agree on that, Holmesy? Favourites are glaringly obvious within the camp over at Ewood Park.
Well, let's just start off with your first statement there around JRC. I don't see him. The only time he'll be on that right back side is if he's handing someone some water. But yeah, let's be honest. You know, there's always going to be favourites with the manager. You saw it with Mowbray. You see it with every manager. He's got his players who he trusts. He's got his players who he performs, who he feels plays to the style that he likes. And what happens is those players tend to get first preference when it comes to the team. You hope that players can sort of adapt and move their way up into that style of play. But yeah, certainly there are a couple of players that have solidified their place under JDT, and I think he trusts them. And as you know, they've done the job. Tyler Morton coming in, of course, it seems like he's become one of those favourites. Coming in has been immense for us this season. What a signing he's been. Callum Britton, also a great signing. Those players, Hedges, I mean, come such a long way. I think when he's fit, he's always going to be making the side. So yeah, they're certainly going to be favourites, but as long as they fit the style that JDT wants to play, and as long as we're picking up those 3 points, who am I to complain?
I think it's to be expected, isn't it? With a new head coach, he's going to have players this season, in my opinion, have been his signings. Britton's been brilliant. Hyam's been brilliant. So he's obviously got this certain style of play. It's very different to Mowbray's. So certain players like JRC, certain players like Dack, just aren't going to get a look in if they can't play to his tune, basically, and he will move him on. I can see a high turnover next summer, that's for sure, because he'll have a season to look at the players and he'll know by next summer who's going to be in his plans and who's not, obviously.
Well, that's perfect timing. What I'm going to ask you, Denver. This is actually your first, but have we seen the last of JRC? Will he ever pull on the blue and white shirt again? Not Jacob Ward, but yes, this Denver, you are on.
Oof. That is the question, isn't it? I feel if we are going to see an appearance for JRC, it'll be in one of the cup competitions, something like that, and if that, because I just don't. I would never. Whenever I used to watch him, you'd have a moment of like something, wouldn't he? But I was never 100% convinced. I remember fans really getting behind him, and I was never. There was something missing. Hence why he moved to right back, because he wasn't originally. Remember, he was higher up. He was a player who played higher up. But like I said, I don't see him at the start. We're playing Hayden Carter and Ash Phillips and everyone at right back ahead of the JRC. Even when Pickering's out, the same when we got Pickering out, we got Britton playing on that side. We're playing Hayden Carter on the right. I just don't see here how JRC can get anywhere near the squad at the minute. I don't know if he's playing for the under 23. Is he anywhere? Is he around that?
Nope, not.
He's not even around that season. Yeah, I can't see him. I can't see him put on the blue and white shirt again unless we have a terrible injury crisis where all our players get injured, and then maybe we'd see him. But yeah, I think that's the last we'll probably see of JRC, which is a shame because you don't like to see players, especially Blackburn Rovers players, not make it and whatnot. But I've always thought there was something not quite right there, not something missing. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think on the.
Well, I'll bring it up.
Just amateur stuff, really, which is a shame because he actually did decent in the League Cup, but at Championship level anyway, against Championship opposition, he just looks out of his depth, and he did all last season. I mean, I think the past 5 games he's played in the Championship, he's probably got subbed off at half-time, what's a real indictment on him. But I'd much rather have Hayden Carter there than him, and I think JDT did actually try to loan him out because I think that Stoke game was just before the end of the transfer window, but I think something fell through and he's come out in the press and said he will struggle for game time now. So yeah, I can't see him pulling on the blue and white halves again, personally.
Need anyone? I can't see him as trying to sign him back due to us playing Hayden Carter and whatnot out on the wide position because they need game time ultimately. But maybe for next season he'll try and push on into the team. I don't know, but I don't think JRC will. Yeah, like you said, play again.
Well, I think he's got one life left, and that is the FA Cup. If we get a really shit team like a League One or a League Two, that'll be his last chance to say, yeah. Last, and again, that'll be the transfer window will be open. That'll be a shop window to either, hey JDT, there's still something left in me, or see you later, you're toast on that one. But Holmes, in bringing you in on this, on not this now, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. Then of course we're gonna go there because we got guys in the chat who are asking about it. So we're talking about Dack, the future of Dack. It is the main topic of discussion for the podcast. It's painful for me. I'm a big Dack fan, and I've loved him since we've got him. I was so excited when we lumped $750,000. That's big money back in League One when we bought him. of course, it's hard to justify him getting in the team when we're sitting second in the league. It's hard to justify getting him in the team when it doesn't really suit him. But for me, there's got to still be a place in this squad for Bradley Dack. What do you think, Holmesy?
Absolutely. I mean, you can't be a Blackburn Rovers, watch Blackburn Rovers over the last 4 or 5 years and not have been a Bradley Dack fan. You know, he was by far and away the best player before those 2 horror injuries. He made the whole team tick. He's got that little bit of class, that natural ability on the ball, which most people don't have. And I think maybe having that natural ability on the ball meant he didn't have to work as hard as those other players around him. So I think it's been a bit of an awakening, you know, coming in, start of the season, new manager. You know, Tony Mowbray had that faith in him and would, you know, play him a bit more. So new manager, taking a look at him, doesn't quite suit the style that we're playing at the moment, that high press, high work rate. You know, those 1 or 2 touches that he has that makes Bradley Dack that little bit of magic. You know, it's not going to cut it like it did before. You know, when Dack was really great when he was playing off Danny Graham was playing off Dack rather, those little touches, and Graham would just put it in the back of the net, League One. You know, those were Dack's heydays, and this, you know, the world was his oyster. He could have got that Premier League move at that stage. Where I've been a little bit disappointed, I think his attitude this season, I think he possibly felt like he had a right to be in the team and walk back into the team. I don't know. You know, you don't know what's been happening behind the scenes. You don't know what's going on. I'm not one for social media, but, you know, you've heard apparently Olivia Atwood's had her say and been tweeting. And, you know, you really, really don't need that. You're professional footballers. If you're not picked for the team, you go into training, you work hard, you do everything for the team, and you wait until your time comes in. You know, throwing your toys out the pram isn't going to get you into the team, causing trouble behind the scenes. You know, I think, and I'm not saying that's happened, but I'm saying that seems to be the feeling you get. You're seeing Dack looks possibly sulking a bit on the sidelines when he's not getting game time. What I'd love to see is him just being part of the team, cheering him on, you know, getting out there, just, you know, just bringing enthusiasm even when he's not playing. And given time, you know, it's a long season, a long season to go. There's a place and a time for Bradley Dack in this team, and I hope that there's still great things to come for him in a blue and white shirt.
Good synopsis there, Holmesy. That's the opinion coming out of South Africa. Let's bring in Jacob on this one. What, you know, where do you stand on the in, the out, the whole? It's turned into a bit of a mess, really. I don't like the mess. What's going on over there? So what's your? Well, I've lost you. Where are you? There you are. So what's your take, Jacob, on Dack and where he's at?
Yeah, I think Holmesy's just mentioned. I think it's becoming a bit of a joke in terms of, you know, his girlfriend getting involved, replying to some tweet saying, "Oh, I'll move wherever for my fiance or whatever he is to her, so he can play his football." At the end of the day, like, it's not a reality show. I know he's been doing reality TV since he's been injured, but we don't need this. We don't need a bad egg in the dressing room. I'm not saying for 1 second Bradley Dack is a bad egg, but any sort of stuff like that, you know, kind of just being a distraction for the players and being a talking point, really, when the talking point should be the fact we're Blackburn Rovers, this is meant to be a transition season and we're currently second in the league, you know, and that is without Bradley Dack. I feel like we've maybe moved on from him a little bit. To be fair, it's been obviously a long time he's been injured. Obviously, you know, like Holmesy mentioned, the system we were playing under catered to Dack at the time because he was our main man. You know, you think back, it was a 4-2-3-1, so we had 2 holding midfielders really facilitating Dack being in the team, because he isn't that workhorse in midfield like Smodic, who isn't as good as Dack. Obviously, Dack's much better at putting the ball in the back of the net, probably a better passer of the ball, but you can see Smodic, when he come on against Middlesbrough, for example, made 5 tackles in 10 minutes or whatever. That's what JDT wants. He doesn't want any passengers, and unfortunately, it seems like Dack can maybe be a bit of a passenger at times. So, I mean, not every player is going to be a right fit for a manager. I mean, you look at, I'm kind of thinking, it's not exactly the same, but Ronaldo with Ten Hag. I mean, no one can doubt how good Ronaldo is, this, that, and the other. But Ten Hag just doesn't fancy him right now, and Ronaldo's spitting his dummy out a little bit like how Dack is right now. He's been liking some tweets saying, "What does Bradley Dack have to do to get a kick of the ball? This, that, and the other." He's not entitled to anything. It's been a long time since he's done what he's done for us, and I'll never sit here and slag him off because he got us up out of League One. Ultimately, without him, we don't go up. The first season in the Championship, got 15 goals, proved how class he is, and it's such a shame that he got those injuries because he would have got that Premier League move. But I think I can only see him going one way, and he will either be a Sunderland player in January or the summer for me. Unless he improves his work rate, which I just don't think he can, I just don't think that's his game. I think he needs a manager to facilitate him, and I wish him every best if he does go to Sunderland. Obviously not at our expense, but I do wish the best for him, but I just can't see it working. He's just not the work rate for JDT, I don't think.
There it is, straight from Jacob's mouth. Denver, what is your take on? Because we need to hear all parts of you on this because it is a very, very spicy topic of discussion. What is your take, young Denver?
I mean, Jacob did a very good job of clearing it up. I just don't think he fits the mold of what JTT wants, I guess. Unless he's able to adapt and become something else. He just doesn't. Like, if he sits in midfield, he's got to have to work back and work hard and sit it deep, which JDT wants. You see the way how deep we sit. We have our strikers literally on the edge of the box when defending, and you don't see Dack. Can you see Dack? Hopefully you can, but especially with 2 ACL injuries, that will have affected his ability to play football. Definitely his pace and speed anyway. Yeah, look, I think every Blackburn fan, there's no one out there who will say a bad word about Dack. He's been phenomenal and he excites the crowd, and he's just one of those great players, and he just does the things that you just think you go wow in it. Well, like I said, wow player. But 2 ACL injuries, trying to get back in the squad now with a new manager. He's gonna, it's tough. Look, I don't think any of us want to see him leave, especially to a rival club. But if that's what he needs to get playing, because ultimately we don't want to just, especially with someone like Dack, we don't want to see him just sitting on the bench doing nothing. But hopefully he's able to adapt and maybe find a new lease of life on the JDT and get into the side and become a part of the squad. Because as much as we can say he doesn't fit into the system now, why can't he? What can he do now? He's got time to assess the situation. Look, he's scoring goals for the under-21, so he clearly still has it. But he just needs to find that way into the first team squad. And we know he's good enough. We know he's probably still one of the best players in that team, technically and naturally. We're just going to see how where he plays. If it's that midfield role and he can try and move about a bit, or maybe become a number 9, which we've seen him play for the under-20, under-23s. So yeah, we've just got to wait and see what happens there. Hopefully, it's not a case of him going to Sunderland or wherever he goes, because I'd love to see him play for Blackburn for I don't know how long till he retires. But right now, it's not looking likely, and that Sunderland is probably going to be his destination, that Mowbray link.
Yeah. What's my take on this? Did I ask you, Holmesy? Did I ask you already? I think I did, right? Did I ask Holmesy about Dack? I did. Okay, so yeah, like we know it doesn't fit in the style. We know it doesn't fit in JDT's thing. But there's always, don't we argue about Tony Mowbray not having a plan B? We need to argue and of course instill that into JDT, plan B. So, he might not fit in the 11, but he definitely has a spot. Surely he has a spot in the squad for a plan B. If again, experience does add a lot of weight to a player as well. You know, we are very lucky with our youth right now, but we don't have that many experienced heads. And I think Dack is, I think, the oldest outfield player we've got. I think I don't know, maybe Smodic is older than him. Ayala is, and then Smodic and then Dack are very close in age, I think. But do we? Okay, let's rephrase this one. I'll go back to Holmesy on this one, rephrase it. It's, of course, the same question I asked you about JRC. Okay, have we seen the last of him in a blue and white shirt, a senior blue and white shirt? Holmesy.
No, I definitely don't think so. I think Dack's still got a role to play. I think we'll see him grace Ewood again in a blue and white shirt. And I think cup game, definitely he'll get a run in the cup game. And then we'll take it from there, see where he goes, see how his relationship with JDT progresses. But yeah, certainly there's still more to come from him in a blue and white shirt.
That's a good point there, because the cup game comes, and I know it's West Ham though. It's a big game, and I don't know how serious we're taking the cup. You know, of course, a win would put us, I think, in the quarterfinals. I think, dare I say it. But I don't know how serious JDT would take it, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm hoping he has some involvement. But that's a good point, because after that, we have pretty much like a month off. So it's a good month for maybe Dack to get composed, get focused, get fit. Maybe patch it up a little bit with Dack. I think that's a lot of it is with the relationship with JDT. Maybe the off the field crap is getting involved there, and maybe this would be a good chance for somebody being big enough and ugly enough to hold their hands up and admit that they're wrong and come clean. But what about you, Jacob? Do you agree? Do you think we've still got a chance to see? Will he have a chance to put on the blue white shirt anymore?
Yeah, I think obviously the cup game screams out that he will play that game. He's obviously featured in 2 games before that. But I think in terms of the league, I think he's had his choice. He's had his chances rather as that plan B. Like you've mentioned before, Dirk, we need that kind of plan B. I think he's had his chances, to be fair. You know, he was robbed of a goal, to be fair, at Cardiff. That should have stood. But the referee was, you know, on Sky, so he wanted to be a bit whistle happy, I guess. But yeah, robbed of a goal there. Come on against Wigan. He seems like the only role for him at the minute is if we are losing and it's 10 minutes to go, and we just need to chuck something at the wall, chuck Bradley Dack on, see if he can grab us a goal. I don't think he's been afforded maybe once, twice at a push, you know, more than 20 minutes off the bench. It seems like it is a 10 minutes of normal time plus injury time he gets. Because I just don't think he trusts him to work. So if the opposition team is just sat back, sat in, you don't really have to work at that point off the ball, do you? So it is fine to chuck Dack on at that point, which he has done a couple of times. But obviously, the past few games, he hasn't even been on the bench. I think, as mentioned, that could be some of the stuff off the field with his fiancée, with him, and you know, liking tweets and stuff, which do. You know, question the head coach's, you know, decision at the end of the day to not feature him, to not be playing him. I think he can only live off so long what he did, because he isn't that player anymore. I think we've seen he isn't that player anymore. Even last season under Mowbray, he only managed to get 1 goal. I know obviously he didn't start games and whatnot, but he's still under Mowbray. Didn't look like the Bradley Dack of old, so. Yeah, I think like you've said, Dirk, I think the World Cup with a month off, if he can get his fitness up, just meet JDT's demands, maybe patch something up there, because the head coach can't be seen to be, you know, apologising to Dack. It's got to be the other way around, else he'll have too much player power. But if he's going to be stubborn, Dack, and, you know, not basically sit on the bench and not think he has a God-given right to be in the team, I think he will get moved on. But I'm hoping he, you know, realises that at this moment in time he isn't what's best for Blackburn Rovers, and that needs to come first ultimately.
Indeed, and that's why it's hard to argue that the fact that if we were in 20th or something like that, then, you know, it is definitely different, and that would have more credence, I'd say, in the fan opinion and things like that. What about your take on this one, Denver? You know, He's a VIP. Will we see him again? Will we see him again in the league? Will we see him again starting a game in the league for Rovers in the blue and white half?
Yeah, I can't, especially considering you've got the likes of Buckney, Schmodix and stuff like that, all rotating. Adam, in the under-mid series, and they're all rotating around. Look, if your players aren't frustrated that they're not playing, then you'd question why they're playing football or in that environment in the first place. Look, I played myself and coached myself, and players get frustrated when they get pulled off, and it happens, right? Of course, you want to think that they have the respect and they have the decency to understand that's part of it, and they've got to keep it private and not go public about it. But at the end of the day, look, I think we all know that he's a quality player. I think JDT knows that, and I'm sure he'll make his way back onto the bench and maybe get a bit longer than 10 minutes at the end of a game. We'll never know, but yeah, we'll see. We'll never know what happens. So I reckon he will definitely have a part to play before the end of the season. I definitely think he'll play.
He had a brilliant game starting at Blackpool away. Really, really good. The best I've seen him since he's come back. So I think in certain games he will fit in somewhere in a starting lineup, but I think they'll be few and far between, unfortunately.
But when given that chance, he has to. If we're going to see him regular, he's got to take that chance. It's kind of like Tyrese Dolan. He's. His stats are pretty good, Tyrese, for the season, super sub kind of stuff. But to turn them into to get him into the starting team, it's it's just.
It seems Tyrese is that impact player. Whenever he starts, he just never really does it for me.
Yeah.
I think did he start Luton away or something like that after he got a couple goals against Bristol? And yeah, just some games he just completely goes missing, and they usually are when he starts, unfortunately.
And I guess I think when you look at a player like him with his tricks and things against tired legs, more likely to cause a foul or more likely to have an impact on the game. Anyway, while we're here on the Dack situation, I did put a vote out on Twitter, and it should pop up on the screen now. So 61% of the vote, Dack in, 38% Dack out right now. So the fan base is definitely pro Dack, I would say.
Is that Dack in the team or Dack?
Well, I didn't
being transferred.
No. Well, I think it's just Dack in the team, and not. Well, that's what I was envisaging with that tweet. It was like, does he not necessarily in the 11, but at least involved? Dack involved or Dack gone? So because there are you see the regular names out there on Twitter that are definitely happy that he's not involved, and I'm not happy that he's not involved, but I get it. I understand it. We're second in the league. Yeah. We've won more games than anybody else in the league. How do you get into that team? How do you change that? It's hard to argue against the numbers. But I think
like you said, if we were down in 20th, I'd be here saying, why you're not putting him in the team? He offers this and that. He will get you a goal. What currently happening isn't working. But I just find it hard to argue that he should be in the team when we're second. We can't be doing that much better, really. So what JDT's doing is working, and obviously this is the start of the project as well. So this should be the teething period. So hopefully more good things to come.
That's a good choice of words. A teething thing, yeah. And if this is the worst that we're gonna feel, or the worst, it is definitely an emotional thing, because it is. When Charlie Mulgrew was phased out of the team, I loved his free kicks, and we haven't seen anything like that since, and I don't think we'll ever will in a long time. Dead balls from every time we had a free kick or corner, I would be thinking more than likely a goal. Now I'm just dreading our free kicks and set pieces. I think we're garbage, but it gets to a point, even with Danny Graham as well, that our emotions, we get attached, and I've not had that feeling of a player. When Adam Armstrong went, loads of goals, fantastic memories and all that, but I didn't give a shit. And Diaz, when he goes, yeah, I'll have more. I think I'm more attached to Diaz than I am to Armstrong, but fair play to him. But for me, I'm nursing this one. This one hurts me a little bit. Dack. Holmesy.
I I think that's more to do with the League One season, isn't it? Or the kind of emotion through that season.
Well, yeah, there was three players there, three players that really stood up. It was Dack, Graham, Mulgrew. Two of them have gone, and now we're left with Dack, and he is the last piece of that League One puzzle, not including JRC.
The sands of time move on, eh?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Trav as well, but he was breaking
Yeah.
the squad as well, wasn't he?
You're right. Yeah, and that's it's important man. And again, I thought we'd lose him long time ago. I thought he was destined for bigger and better things, Travis. But I'm glad he's staying here. We definitely need that bite in midfield. But you know, Holmesy, what's your take on it? You know, the somebody that's been there, and you know, we've been through the years with him. It hurts me. But and again, I'm probably What's your take then? Wrapping it up.
It does you get attached to players? I think the first vivid memory I've got of being absolutely heartbroken by a player leaving was Shearer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that for me was Denver and Jacob won't remember that, but that was absolutely gut wrenching for me. I think I was 7 or 8 at the time, and since then there's obviously been players who become your favorites. Then you get the ones that stay on, like Gumps Pedersen. I think he was great. Your two guys, the guys who stay with you till the end. But unfortunately, we're in an era where players are no longer one club players. They move about. You form attachments and then they go on. I mean, these are permanent players. We can't even get onto loan players. You come in for a year, you become attached, and then they go back to their parent club. But yeah, I think Dack moving on is definitely going to be hard. It's going to be tough. He's been synonymous with Blackburn Rovers for the last couple of years. I think him moving on now is easier after those 2 injuries. I think had he been playing through there, it would have been harder because he would have been moving on to bigger and better things. Sad for him. I think when he does move on, it'll be to a club like Sunderland or, you know, another championship club. Not really those big breaks that he was going to get. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be harder losing Dack than it is for, you know, as on emotionally than it is losing Diaz. But Diaz is also going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a good point actually, because that's one of the questions I was leading towards earlier in the show today. Is that if Diaz leaves in January, Dack, I was also thinking that Dack could get loaned out. He could get a loan to Sunderland. Meet up with his stepfather or Tony Mowbray over there, and hook up with him for the best part of the rest of the season, and either win a permanent deal or reconvince JDT that, you know, or have a point to prove. Maybe that would be the way that he tries to play a power into it by saying, you know what, give me a loan, I'll show you what I'm all about. And then maybe in the summer, because he has another year, I think, Dack, 2024, I think his so his contract expires 2023 with an option. Is that the deal?
For an extra year.
Okay, so that could be the take. Any closing comments on it, Denver, for you, the topic of Dack, and where's he going to be?
It's nothing really more to say. I think, like I said, he'll stay. I don't think he'll go in January. I think he'll stick it out for the season. I think he'll have bit parts to play. It's hard to say he could take off and find a position and really thrive, or he could just go out on a whimper. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully he has some form to play in the squad, because he's a great character to have around the group, and you know, I think we all love him for that nostalgic feel of course, League One and the bit when he was fantastic in the Championship. But gotta wait and see. That's really.
Yes, we do have to wait and see. I've just brought up his numbers on my screen here, and you know, the League One numbers: 18 goals in all competitions. First season in the Championship, 18 goals in all competitions. Then 10 goals. I think that was the first of the ACL on that one. And the second, he came back three goals. Did he? Yeah. 3 goals in 17 games or whatever. What's that, Jacob?
10 goals by December, because that's when we played Wigan, and then he got injured.
Yeah.
So he was on course for 20 goals a season that season. So he were at the peak of his powers. It just come at the absolute worst time for him, didn't it? But I think it's an interesting point you make on Diaz. If he leaves, does it kind of change the dynamic there? Would we maybe see in this current formation, with it being a 5-3-2, Dack and Gallagher up front, big man, little man, Dack and Graham-esque, maybe? I don't think Gallagher's kind of got that hold-up play to his game like Graham did.
Yep.
I question whether maybe George Hurst could kind of form that partnership with Dack, because from what I've seen of Hurst, he is a bit more like a Graham type with the hold-up play and whatnot. He's kind of been phased out since that penalty miss, and I think a few fans are on his back after that, which I think is really unfair. I think there was a lot of pressure to put on someone of his age, 21, 22, lone player. And I think Gallagher or Dack should have been stepping up and taking that personally. But if Diaz does go in January, I think it would send out a really bad message from the owners, just like if we'd have sold Rothwell last year in January when we had the chance with Bournemouth. I don't think Diaz is the type of character, if a move fell through, he would spit his dummy out like Rothwell clearly did. Mm-hmm. There was murmurs obviously this summer, and he's still banging them in. He's still on course for 25 goals probably this season, you would hope. Yep. I think it would send a really bad message out. And if we did sell Diaz, I think you can kiss playoffs goodbye. I think we do stand a really good chance this year. Like I've said before, this is meant to be the teething period right now. We've had our inconsistencies, new style of play, a lot of young players, and we're starting to hit a bit of form now, hopefully at the right time. We've got 3 very winnable games coming up. Hull, Coventry, Huddersfield, they're all down there. And then you got West Ham and Burnley. If we can end on a high, hopefully, and then I guess push for top 6 in the second half of the season. Once JDT's got another month to really drill into him, his style and whatnot. I think the best things are to come. So I really hope Diaz sticks it out and the Venky's take a gamble, because obviously getting promotion is worth so much more than selling him for what we'd probably get our money back for him probably if we sold him in January. Like 7-8 mil. I thought if we'd be down there, he probably would go in January, but we're second at the minute. He surely can't sell it.
Okay, well, yeah, I was going to bring. I'll bring that back in a minute. That thing, but of course, I just want to wrap up here with Dack. So Dack's got 5 appearances to the league right now. If I was to put you under the gun here, Jacob, how many appearances in the league, not necessarily starts, will he have at the end of the season? More or less than 20?
I'd say less. If he's currently on 5, which is quite shocking to be honest when you think about it. I can't believe it's that low, but yeah, one of those is a start at Blackpool. I'd say less personally, because I just think, like mentioned, I think even if he is on the bench some games, he is only going to be coming on if we need a goal, if we are 1-0 down, 2-0 down, and the opposition are sitting off, and we need a bit of Dack magic to unlock a defence or just get in the box and grab a goal. That is the only way he's going to get on the pitch, I think. Unless he sorts himself out in that month off and comes back a fitter Dack with, Smodic type work rate, which I can't see happening, I think it'll be less than 20.
Less than 20. Okay, well, I'm going to do a different question for you, Holmesy. Of course, Jacob talked about it a little bit. He says that it'd be stupid for the Venky's to sell. Let's say Everton come in 10 million January 20th. Do you take it or no?
I think you're going to have to take it. My feeling is he's going to be gone end of the year, no matter what happens next season. 10 million is going to be a lot of money for Blackburn, a lot of money to reinvest, hopefully. I mean, that being said, hopefully reinvest. I think we needed to keep ahead of FIFA fair play. If that's the way we're going to be playing our squad in the future, and I think what JDT came in with his vision is, building from the bottom, coming through the academy, and then bringing a few players in and around to supplement that. 10 million for Diaz is going to be one hefty sum with 6 months left on the contract. You have to take that. The flip side of the coin is, if we're sitting first and second, do we take a run at it and say, listen, we could be in the Premier League next season? Could be deja vu of last season all over again. January somebody coming in for a player whose contract's going to be off at the end of the season, and it just causes absolute dismay. Obviously referring to the Rothwell situation, where we wanted to keep hold of our player, and it just caused so much disruption around the squad. I'm not saying it's the only reason why we fell apart. There were many reasons why we fell apart, but it was largely, it caused a bit of a ruckus when we were going on a bit of a high, and possibly take the money and reinvest it and keep all the players happy, keep the group happy.
Yeah, all right. Okay, just curious. In fact, let me now ask you a different question. They're coming at me thick and fast, my questions. So we got, Jacob again. Jacob's giving me the spark here for these questions. So he says, 3 very winnable games coming up. We got Hull City away, Coventry away, Huddersfield at home. What would you rather take out of those? 3 wins or a guaranteed win against Burnley?
Sure. Oh gosh.
So 9 points instead of 3 points, and 3 points in local pride.
3 points local pride. And
Denver. This is for
I'm
getting rid of Denver first. I'll come around the houses on that one. Denver, this is on you, man.
Right. It has to be points on the board. At the end of the day, as much as we want to rub it in Burnley's faces, if we go up and they don't, who's laughing then, right? Ultimately, we don't know what their season's going to unfold, but promotion to the Premier League is the goal. And as much as we'd love a good win against them, 6 fingers on the other side of the down the other side of Lancashire, it have to win as many games as we can to go up.
What about you, Jacob? Do you have any different? If you were to be proposed with that deal, 9 points or 3 and some local pride, or and this is at Turf Moor. Remember that Turdmore.
So are you saying in this scenario we take 0 points from the next 3, but we guarantee a win against Burnley, or we take 9 points from the next 3, but we lose at Burnley? I think like Denver's just put quite well. I think ultimately you've got to take the 9 points, because I was going to mention this. I think the league is so open this year. You look at the league last year, you knew Fulham were going up.
Mm-hmm.
And it were you were pushing for that second spot, which I don't think any of us kind of really fancied us to get, because Bournemouth, ultimately, obviously their January business, they bought the league. I look at the league this year, and I think I can pretty much guarantee Burnley will be in the top 6, but anyone else for the top 6, I don't think there's any guarantees. Sheffield United have fell off. I think in this scenario you'd have to take the 9 points. I think if obviously we were mid-table right now, I'd be saying, well, I'll take the Derby Day win, because we're not going to be making the playoffs. We're not going to be making a push for promotion. But this season, I genuinely think, like I've said, I think we're only going to get better. So you put a poll out before, where will we finish this season? I went with 1st to 6th. I genuinely think we'll do it this season. I think we'll go that one step further. Don't think we're going to bottle it this year, just simply because I don't think the quality of the league's the same. You don't have 2 teams in this league who are splashing the cash like Fulham and Bournemouth did, and just basically buying promotion. Burnley have tried it, but even they're still not really pulling up any trees. Really, they're chucking away leads left, right, and centre, drawing so many games. I'd take the 9 points, and we'll get them at Ewood, I guess.
Holmesy, I'll give you the same question. Just give me a minute here. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And when we look at, I think I've gone top 10, but when we look at strikers in this division, we have the best. I think we have the best striker. We have the best striker in the division. I think we have one of the best top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the division. I think we even have one of the top 5 centre backs in this division as well. I think we've got 3 really in Hyam. I think Hyam, and again, he come with little fanfare, but he's just been phenomenal. And Coventry's rise last season was probably, when we look back on it, probably a lot to do with Hyam. But anyway, what's your take on that proposal, Holmesy? 9 points. Or the Burnley victory.
Yeah, listen, I think the boys are right. I mean, it's a head-heart situation, isn't it? But 9 points. You win those next 3 games, 9 points. That's going to put us right up there. That's really top two, fighting for the top two. Going to give us a little bit of a cushion towards, say, seventh place. You've got to take those 9 points. As much as you'd love to give that middle finger to Burnley at Turdmore, get the 9 points in the bag. Go for a draw at Turdmore, and yeah. But so not take those 3 wins. Take those 3 wins.
Take the 3 wins and put them in the pocket. I've got the tape.
Put them in the pocket and fight for those top two.
Yes, Jacob, what are you saying?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I think another player I'd maybe chuck in, like you're saying, best in the league right now. I think I'd chuck Tyler Morton in there as one of the best ball-playing midfielders in this league right now. I think he's only going to get better this season. Obviously, this is a first, professional football season for him, and he's hit the ground running, hasn't he? He can take the ball under pressure so easily. He can find a pass so easily. I think he's only going to be getting better this season, and towards the end of the season, we could really see something special, because I genuinely think next season, with a lot of aging midfielders for the Liverpool team, you look at Henderson, Milner, Thiago, Fabinho, Keita, they're all quite old. I think he could have a part to play in Liverpool's team next season. Not starting by any means, but I think he'll feature like Elliott has done.
Yeah. So who's on the OK? I'm going to go bring Denver back on here. So I've got the table. I've got the table on the screen here. We're deviating a little bit from Rovers, and I don't know if you can see the table, but maybe just go off your vibe here. But who are you concerned of? Let's not include Burnley in this discussion here. But who gives you the heebie-jeebies in that league? Who do you think we got to keep an eye out? Who's got the best chance to surprise the division besides Rovers? The Swansea flying high up there, Millwall in 6th, Reading, you can't get rid of them right now. Who should we be worried about?
I mean, like, it's hard to say, mate, because the league can change so much. I'm looking at the table now, and you've got like QPR well up top, aren't they? They're flying, aren't they? And they look like they'll be tough. But even the teams that are lower down, I know Middlesbrough 21st right now, but if they get their act together, they've got some squad. Mm-hmm. Same with West Brom as well. They've got some class. I think Sunderland, if they get going as well, they're quite similar. Watford, if they get the new manager, they've just smashed. Who did they beat 4-0 yesterday? Or today, was it Luton, wasn't it?
Did they? Did they wait for they smashed Luton? That's a big derby, that. Didn't see that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, they beat 4-0. So if they got the likes of Sarr in their squad, who was of course like he was about to go Villa, wasn't he? But then he changed his mind last minute or something, that broken down. And there's some good teams in this league, and all it will take is we're running on high, and we might drop, and then other teams might pick up their form, and it might change. So I see the ones I mentioned, dark horse, especially Middlesbrough and the likes of West Brom, who are in the relegation zone. West Brom 23rd. If they can turn it around, possibly, they could be potential banana skins. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Jacob, what about you? I'm not Jacob. Holmesy. What are your take on who do you think we should be concerned about? Yeah, QPR flying high. West Brom need to get a new manager for starters. They need to get a new manager, but they're linked with, I think, Carlos Corberán, I think, is the man, or Carvajal, or whatever his name is. One of the guys, I think the ex-Huddersfield guy might be the one that's going to West Brom. But yeah, who is your tip to cause a problem and maybe break in top 6, or maybe even get promoted to the Prem?
Yeah. You've got your Watfords. I mean, so I think Watford are sitting in 10th. They've underwhelmed a little bit this season. So has your Norwiches, underwhelmed a bit. I think Sheffield United's a good shot. They're definitely going to be up there at the end of the season. I think they've got a very good side. They're going to be going to the end. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ever been a league that's going to be so close and so many teams that could be involved. There's like 9 points between 12th and 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is ridiculous. 9 points, and we already like nearly quarter of the way through the season, maybe more. What is it? Sorry, my math is bad at the
Not
moment.
far off.
Over a quarter of the way, a third of the
Yeah.
way through the season.
Third.
Yep.
I think I'm not. Maybe one-on-one games, Middlesbrough or West Brom could be a bit of a banana skin. I don't see them managing to recoup this season to the extent that they're going to be pushing for a top automatic promotion. Certainly, maybe a 7th or 8th or a 6th, but they could cause us problems one-on-one games. But yeah, any team is beatable, and any team can beat us on any given day in this league. And we just look at where we were from 2nd in January last year to 7th or 8th, and I can't remember which was the team that came up from like 10th or 11th and made the run at the end of last season.
Mm-hmm.
Forest may have got up.
Pardon?
So Forest made it up, didn't they?
Forest,
they
yes, not Forest. Sorry, Forest, of course. And then made it up so far that they beat Liverpool yesterday. What a rise to the top. Yeah, there's so many teams that could have been involved and are going to be around and shouting in for those top 6 positions by the end of the season. And that's why those next 3 winnable games, I know they're away. 2 of them are away from home, I think, or 3 of the next 4 are certainly away from home. So get those 9 points if we can.
Indeed. What about you, Jacob? Before we bring it back to those games in a second, who concerns you the most? Who do you think could surprise us all and do a Forest?
I'm not sure if you can see me because I'm just.
I can see you. Yep.
All right. Yeah, I think maybe it's a bit too late for West Brom and Middlesbrough. There's nothing to say they couldn't potentially do an Aston Villa, going back a few years ago, how well they did to make the playoffs in the end. Obviously, Notts Forest going from bottom of the league under Houghton and then obviously getting 3rd and winning the playoffs. There's nothing to say that couldn't happen, but you'd hope that it's maybe a step too far for them because they are 2 teams who a lot of people had in their top 6s. And I think that's why the league is so open this year for who can make it because of how bad they've started. I think QPR, you'd think they'd make it this time round. Sheffield United, they're in a really bad bit of form right now, but you'd be shocked if they didn't because they are that good. They proved that at Bramall Lane when they smacked us. It was like men v boys, really, wasn't it? Burnley, they will be there without doubt. They will make top 6, unfortunately. Yep. Yeah, I don't think anyone can really say here that they won't. They definitely will. Swansea, it seems like we played them the right time away at the Liberty. Seems it's finally starting to click under Russell Martin. It's been a bit of a project there.
Yep.
Maybe they could be in and around. Millwall, I can see them dropping off. I don't rate them too highly, to be honest. I think they draw too many games for me. They've won the last 4, to be fair to them, but I think too many of their away games, they just settle for a draw. And I think Norwich and Watford will be pushing to get back in. So, there's definitely a spot there for us, I think. I think between us, QPR, Swansea, I think there's definitely, room for 1 or 2 of us to be squeezing in there. And then you look at Burnley, Sheffield United, Norwich, Watford, you'd expect at least 3 of those 4 to be in the top 6. Watford, it might be a bit of a push under Bilic, but he's no slouch in this league. He's proved that before, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a rough start, but I think his quality again. It's Watford though. It's Watford. He's probably. I'd be surprised if he lasts the season. I think they definitely want top 6, if not more than that. And if shit don't get moving in the right direction, I think he could be on his way out. Bringing Denver back into it. I've got the. Hang on a minute. What am I doing here? Bringing Denver back. I've got the next 5 games on the screen here, including the FA Cup. The EFL Cup, League Cup. So we got Hull City away, Coventry away, Huddersfield at home, Burnley away. Out of those 4 matches, then, how many points are we going to get? You reckon, Denver?
I really hate doing predictions, but look, because whenever I say, I feel like every time I do this, it'll never pan out how I want it to. We'll drop off a cliff, but we've got Hull, Cov, Huddersfield. Huddersfield will be after the last game that I'll be able to go and watch before I travel. But I feel like we always Huddersfield are a banana skin. I swear we haven't beaten Huddersfield
It's
in
terrible.
God knows how long.
Terrible. I hate
It
playing
is.
them.
Yeah, so like, so I can only see maybe our first draw against Huddersfield. Hull are doing really well. Coventry, they've won the last 4 in a row or something like that. I know they're towards the bottom of the table, but they're flying at the minute. So they're all tough games. And then of course we've got West Ham in the cup. I'm. It's hard to say. I can see like they're all winnable, but they're all. Oh, I say all winnable. West Ham aren't doing very well at the minute, so they're all winnable. But I can see Huddle doing really well at the minute. I can see us losing. I can see us losing them all as well. Hard to call. Probably the best. The one I can see probably happening is us drawing to Huddersfield again, our first draw of the season. Because between Hull and Cov, I can see us winning and or losing both of them. Yeah, for that derby day.
Okay, well, you avoided the question nicely there. Okay, what about you, Holmesy? So there's four league games in there and an EFL Cup against West Ham. So let me look at that quick another time. So at the next 5 games, 4 of them are away, 1 of them's at home. How many points do you think? And will we get through to the next round of the Cup?
Tough one. I think certainly our away form hasn't been great this season so far. No, you would become a bit of a fortress, and that's where we've got our points. I think we've had 3 away wins, if I'm not mistaken, this season so far. But then, yeah, I reckon 3 next 4 games we're going to pick up 7 points. 2 wins and a draw. I think we'll get our first draw. I'm not sure who it's going to be against, and I'm not going to say who we're going to beat and who we're going to lose to. And I don't think we're going to get through the cup. I think we've had a good cup run, got further than we have before, but yeah, I don't see us upsetting West Ham. And I mean, I always enjoy a good cup run. I hate getting knocked out of the cup, but it's not necessarily always the worst thing when you are out the cup. It's especially with a smaller squad.
Indeed. Jacob, you're now your same question. Can't see you though, no camera. Four league games, 3 of them away, cup run as well, cup game against West Ham. How many points do you think we're going to score out of that lot?
Yeah, I was just checking the table, and Denver mentioned obviously Hull and Cov have hit form at just the right time for us to play them, haven't they? Which is very annoying. I think I've just seen Hull have won the last 2 and Cov have won the last 3, which I didn't realise, which kind of maybe changes my view on things a bit. I would really hope we'd beat Huddersfield at home. They are absolutely awful. And like you've said, they are a bit of a bogey team for us, to be fair. But with how bad they are this season, I'd be really disappointed if we didn't beat them at home. It is one of those games where you look at and it's a must-win to me. So we've got to be winning that game at the very least. I would hope we'd at least win 1 of Hull and Cov away. And seeing as we don't do draws, I'll say we lose the other. So I think we need a minimum of 6 points from those 9. West Ham away, I think, as Holmesy's just mentioned, I think it would be a blessing in disguise, to be honest, if we did go out. If we were mid-table, I'd be all for putting the first team out and give us a bit of a cup run, something we haven't had since bloody Owen Coyle. But I mean, with us being second in the league right now, with us having a thin squad where we're having to bring academy players in and all that, I'd rather not risk any first team players. I'd probably put out a similar team as we put out to Bradford away and give some of those young boys a game against, a Premier League side in a bloody huge stadium. It is obviously the Olympic Stadium, and let's just give them a good game, I guess. And I can't see us beating them. But then obviously Burnley away. I mean, I will be going, so I'd like to think we'd at least get a draw. Maybe that'll be our first draw of the season, which, if I could take a draw at Burnley away, I would take it right now, to be honest, because they've got every chance of obviously turning us over at their ground. You would hope in the reverse fixture, if we're still doing as well as we're doing now, we'd obviously fancy us to win at home, but Yeah, maybe I'll go with a draw for Burnley away. So I'm going to say 7 points from the next 12, which I don't think would be a bad return considering Burnley is always going to be a tough game anyway. Never mind the fact they're obviously third in the league with one less game played than us.
Yep.
You know the West Ham game. I'm thinking how we're saying we'll play the youngsters, and would you not think that would maybe, especially if West Ham put a semi decent squad and we get smashed, that could maybe hinder our. I don't know. I know saying that at the same time, it is just before the international World Cup break, because the Burnley game before after that. But you don't want to go put our kids out there, them get completely smashed by a Premier League side, right? You don't want to hinder the morale in this team or the youngsters, right? So it's one that we have to balance carefully, right?
I think there's a happy medium in the squad. I think there are players that will, I won't stick Pears in there. You could stick no way. He doesn't get anywhere near. I think you can, if Ayala's fit, play him, and there's some other guys, fringe players. Buckley will get a game, Dack will get a game. There'll be some good players in that, but not necessarily.
First will get a game.
Yeah. Maybe McInerney gets a game. I think.
Yeah,
I think there's not going to be like the Joe Rankin Costello and stuff like that, or the garbage, I guess, are not really going to get a look in for that. But again, I'm with you though. I'm with you with the confidence. First time we played Burnley in the league in a long time. We want to give a good account of ourselves and at least show some fight. And it's going to be tough to get anything out of that game. And but yeah, I'm with you. We don't want to go in there with our morale down in the dumps.
I'd rather not put out the first team and risk an injury just before the Burnley game,
and that as well,
have them be leggy for that Burnley game as well, because it's only I think it's the Wednesday the West Ham game, and then Sunday the Burnley game. But I mean, I don't think West Ham will put out that strong of a team anyway. They're currently in the Europa Conference, aren't they? So I think they've got that to prioritise, and obviously the league over the EFL Cup. So I'd hope they'd put half a team out anyway.
But yeah, the Clinton Bowlers, the Taylor Dunns, all that it'll be there's some players in there. Anyway, so we're going to wrap this baby up. So I did put another poll out there, and I think you might have also contributed to the vote. And we'll start with you, Jacob, because you're on the spotlight here. But where are we going to finish at the end of the season? Right here, right now, from, of course, a third of the season done. Where, if you had a penny, you put it in the bookies, where are you going to finish? 1st to 6th, 7th to 12th? In fact, just give me a number.
I'll go with 5th. I'm gonna say
5th.
Yeah, I'll go with 5th.
Wow.
I think we're a third of the way of the season, as I've been saying on this podcast. I think the best is to come. I think hopefully, I'm hoping we're past this really inconsistent phase of win-loss. I think the next few games coming up, as mentioned, we can build a head of steam, get 6 points from these next 3. I think obviously winnable games. All those teams we're playing the next 3 are down there, so we've got every chance of taking 9 points with the way we're playing right now. And yeah, I think best to come with this team. So I think we'll kick on even more. A month for JDT to kind of hammer into the players what he wants from them, this, that, and the other. Because obviously, you have to remember he come in June, something like that. He weren't afforded as much time as he would have been ideal for a head coach at the end of the day, coming in, with bringing in new players as well. Some players may not have still settled yet. So I think best to come, and I can't see us. You always had that in the back of your mind with Mowbray. We'd have the good runs, and then you'd be thinking inevitably the bad run was going to come in the next month or whatnot. I can't see that with JDT. I think we've been quite consistent with the win-loss, but I can't see us going through a phase, and hopefully I don't jinx it, where we, don't get any points out of 5 like we do under Mowbray, or don't win in 10 or something ridiculous. So I'm going to say 5th. I'm quietly confident this season, and it is so open, like mentioned before, with West Brom and Middlesbrough being out of sight, hopefully.
Yep. Holmesy, what's your take? Where you got us at the end of the season with a third of the season gone?
No, at the beginning of the season, I would have taken 10th as a really great season. I look at it now, and I think we'll be in the top 8. I'd love to stay top 6. Things still slightly scarred from last year, but Jacob's got a good point. You get a better sense, a better feeling that things won't go catastrophically wrong for this team with the way JDT's got us set up. So yeah, I'll put us in sixth place.
Sixth place, all right.
Just to clarify, I'm saying fifth with Diaz. If we don't have Diaz, we're finishing 10th.
Yeah, it as the squad as is now.
Okay, Denver, you're on. Where you reckon we're going to end up?
Easy, top of the league. We're going to walk it nice and easy. No issues. Diaz scores 40+ goals, beats Mitrovic's record. It's tough, innit? And like I said, I think Alex said really well. Scarred from last year, or well, not just last year, just Mowbray, I guess.
Just scarred in general.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. Or just Mowbray, just getting after Christmas and then just nosediving into mid-table, like what the season before would be 8th, just touching the playoffs, and then we'll fall all the way to 15th or whatever, with 4 to 11th the previous season after that, and then it's just we were in the exact same position this time last year, and let's just hope we can get to May and not have fallen off completely off the cliff. But realistically, of course, first we're great, but I can see us potentially finishing in if we can keep the standard and keep Diaz in the top 6. But if we do slump, I can see us finishing 8th.
8th, okay.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna go with a. Do you know what? I'm going to meet in the middle. I've said first, I've said 8th, I'll say we'll finish 6th.
Ooh. So all three of you have got top 6 playoff bound. Well,
Not confident.
but
and put it this way, Dirk, if we time it perfectly, we win the first playoff, we lose the second playoff, but we win comfortably enough in the first one, and that means we win the playoff final.
with the win loss back intact, yeah.
Oh,
Win
yeah.
loss.
Perfect, yep.
Yeah, well, hopefully we win the first leg.
Against Burnley.
Yeah, that'll be even more sweeter. So I did put a vote out there, and the majority of the Rovers fan base at the moment, it was only early, I only just dropped it out there, I've gone with 7th to 12th. So you guys are going, again, it was quite a lot of folks seem to have gone with 1st to 6th, like the three of you, 7th to 12th. It is that's the big caveat for me, is we're going to approach hopefully the next chunk of the season after the World Cup, the third I'd say of the season, without Mowbray, who's for whatever reason, I don't know why, it always was a second half of the season collapse, and this will be different, I believe, and hopefully there will be games that we might go on a little mini run of nothing, but hopefully it's not an extended run of nothing of 10 games, 14 games, or whatever the miserableness was under the Mowbray era, and we saw a little bit of that yesterday with Sunderland. 2-0 up, 4-2 loss at the end. Typical Mowbray style. So let's wrap this baby up. We've been on around about 90 minutes, but closing comments, I'm going to go with Jake. No, we're going to go Holmesy. Closing comments, of course, for the where we are right now. Happy? You're happy where we are? Do you
Yeah, absolutely thrilled where we are at the moment. Far exceeding my expectations. To be knocking about the top 3 there is fantastic. I think JDT's come in, he's instilled a bit of hardiness to us. I'm excited. I think I'm excited for what's going to happen for the next 4 games. Put in another couple of big performances, and we're going to be right up there going into that long World Cup break. Give the boys a bit of a rest up, and then come out fresh in December. So yeah, I'm excited, thrilled where we are. I think JDT's been a great success so far, and yeah, long may it continue.
Long may it continue. What about you, Denver? Closing comments on the situation of the moment. We're second in the table. I was going to bring up some graphics about the stats, but we're running out of time. Like Diaz scoring goals, Gallagher got 4 now as well. Happy?
You can't complain, can you? I mean, of course, a lot of losses in there. I remember people kept talking about us having 7 losses, and who was at Coventry or having less losses than us, and they're in the bottom three. But regardless, we're up there. That's where we want to be at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, so far so good. Ultimately, I do worry about, JDT is still like Jacob said, it's teething process, and hopefully it's not a case of Mowbray's enthusiasm and like his, because ultimately this is Mowbray's team still, right, with a few additions. Hopefully when JDT implements his full philosophy and his own style and his own personnel, that we don't fall off a cliff. And hopefully this is JDT's, like I'm thinking of, like, I don't know, I've got a few friends who are Everton fans who, when Roberto Martinez came in and then they went off like a house on fire for a season or two, but then ultimately the defensive structure that David Moyes left behind, it just fell to pieces and they couldn't defend for their lives and it fell to bits. So I'm looking at it thinking, right, so we've still got Mowbray's philosophy within the squad. Hopefully that when that wears off and we bring new people in and, the whole squad gets replenished, JDT, hopefully we are going to improve, and it is JDT's philosophy that is working and not back ends of Mowbray's. So that is a thing in the back of my mind, but can't complain. Second in the league. Yeah, that's it really.
Jacob, closing comments for you on the status quo right now at Ewood Park. Goals coming in. Are you happy with Gallagher's contribution?
Yeah, of course. Like I said before, I think this is probably the best I've seen Sam Gallagher since he was on loan with us. Just to mention on that 4-2 loss for Sunderland, that just reminded me so much of Deepdale away when we were 2-0 up early on and managed to chuck it away 3-2 loss. But yeah, I think I just hope fans don't get on JDT's back again. I mean, I thought it was pathetic, to be honest, after every single loss in that win-loss. People were, you had some idiots calling for his head, and the man's only been in the door 5 minutes. Like, it's Rovers fans are so fickle. Well, it's
football fans, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think I shouldn't generalise all Rovers fans, but some of them are just brain dead, to be honest. I mean, I was at Wigan away, and you had fans in there who'd paid 30 quid to go watch Rovers away on a Tuesday night at Wigan, and they're there, shouting boring, this, that, and the other, and just, some of them I just don't understand why they turn up. But I just hope we would keep backing him. I think he's, obviously it's so early on, yet he's working wonders. I mean, we have to think we'd never got to this sort of position under Mowbray up until last season, and he'd had the team for 5 years at that point. Obviously, as Denver's mentioned, a lot of these players are still Mowbray's. Maybe there are bits of Mowbray's system and whatnot still in there, which, obviously he has set the platform for JDT to come in and work on this and hopefully get us that one step further. Can't deny that. Obviously, that will be playing a role. But I think I can only see us getting better. Make a couple of additions in January, keep Diaz, bring in players of his mould. I look at someone like Ayala, Cardiff away, I think he got really exposed. We're trying to play out the back. I think if, he's obviously wanted to play out the back, he's wanting this 1-2 touch stuff. I think there's certain players who will be making way. I think there are a couple of players I just look at and think you don't fit this system, you don't fit this style of play. So I think we'll be getting better, and I just hope the fans give him time, and after a loss, don't overreact. Don't start calling for his head. He's working wonders right now, and I genuinely think he'll make playoffs this year.
Well, yeah, it's like very exciting, and second in the division, and again, it's good. It's like past 2 seasons. I know Mowbray messed it up last year, but we're starting to create a name for ourselves again in this division. Again, the third parties who don't watch us week in, week out are critical on us. They're highly critical and say that it is a false storm, but we're only winning the games that's in front of us. And if we can win and then lose and then bounce back with a win, fair play to us for keeping the fight going. And yes, teething process, transition season, all good indicators for the future for Rovers look to be in good hands. I'm excited for the next chunk of the season. Again, winnable games on paper, difficult games as well, though, when you look at the form. And, of course, the East Lancashire derby not too far away as well. But appreciate my boys here, of course, coming in here. Holmesy, Denver, Jacob, appreciate all you guys coming on a Sunday afternoon live under the pressure. But of course, fantastic insight from around the Rovers fan base. All of it. We've got Wales, we've got, right in the heartbeat there with Jacob, and we've got Holmesy all the way down South Africa, and me chucking in a couple of words every now and again. But appreciate everybody. We're live again. We're going to go again another podcast. I'm telling you guys now. We'll probably do it either just before the East Lancashire derby or afterwards. Probably afterwards. And hopefully have all 3 years, maybe even more, of the Roverseas mafioso back. But appreciate you all. We're going to bow out. I'm busting for the toilet. So thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for watching. And again, we go again very, very soon. Until then, be safe out there. Will Dack be back? I'm sure he will. But we're going to have to wait and see about that. But until then, guys and girls, we're going to go smash your subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Tapping out around about... Hey? When were we going to draw? Closing comments.